Hey guys, Mr. Lloyd here. Going to work with you on video 2 for May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Hopefully you get that reference. If you don't, ask a parent. They'll explain it. So here, this page that we're working on today, it says 8-2 class activity, and it's all about reading a histogram. So this page gives us some data here. What we're looking at here is a histogram. You might be more familiar with it thinking about it as a bar chart. And if you want to think about it as a bar chart, that works for me. Okay, so we're looking at this, and our job, when we say we're reading it, just like we'd read a book and we read the words and we make sense of what the words mean, we think about the characters and the story and the plot. Here, we're looking at this table, and our job is to decode it, just like our job is to decode the words in the books. Okay, and so the first thing I do is I look at the title. It says U.S. population 2000s. That tells me that these bars represent some amount of U.S. population, and this was taken in the year 2000, so 20 years ago. Okay, and then I look at the labels for my Y and X axis. So let's look at the Y axis. We've got population, and it says in parentheses in millions. So that means that each here is 0 million people, 10 million people, 20 million people, 30 million, and so on up the Y axis. And then I look at my X axis label. It's the age group. And I notice that these are grouped into age ranges or age intervals. And so we've got 14 and under, 15 to 24, 25 to 34, and so on and so forth. And if you'll notice, these are 10-year intervals. Most of these are 10-year intervals. Most of the time on the histogram, we try to keep the intervals equal. So we try to keep these are obviously people's ages, as this label says, and we try to keep them 10, 10, 10, 10. There are a couple exceptions to that. The first group is 14 and under, so that's a little larger than 10, and then 75 and older, a little bit smaller than, or sorry, a little bit larger than 10 as well. Of course, you can live to be over 85, you can live to be 100 and over that as well. So we know that the two largest and smallest, or the two largest and smallest age intervals are not exactly 10, but we try to keep these equal just to keep everything organized in our brains, okay? So our job is to take this histogram and to answer questions 9 through, what is it, maybe 13, I think? Yes, 9 through 13, okay? So this should be something we're pretty successful at as sixth graders. Which age group has the least number of people? So I come and I look, and I'm looking at each of these bars, of course, represents the number of people measured out in the millions. And so we're just looking for the smallest bar. And this is, I think the way this printed might be a touch confusing, or I don't know, it was a little confusing to me when I first took a look at this. But the group 75 and older has a little over 10 million people in it, but not quite 20 million. So this would be our lowest bar. That is a bar, just in case you couldn't tell. So people who are 75 years and older, smallest bar, least number of people. Which age groups have nearly the same numbers of people? So here, the way I determine this is I just kind of use my eye, and now I'm going to use my mouse, and I think, oh, 15 to 24 has pretty similar. I mean, it's almost as tall as 25 to 34. And then coming over here, 45 to 54 is also right in that same very close range there. So I would say those three groups, 15 to 24, 25 to 34, and 45 to 54, all of those groups have about the same numbers of people. I would also count it correct if you included 35 to 44 with that group, because even though it's a little bit larger, I'd still say that's close enough, I think. I think that still counts. Okay. Number 11, what age group has about 15 million people? So what age group has about 15 million? So my job here is to find where 15 million would be, and it's not given to me directly as a label. It's something we need to be able to decipher real quick. So of course I know that 15 falls right in between 10 and 20. So with my pencil or a nice piece of paper, or in this case with my mouse, I just trace it over, and lo and behold, my mouse falls right about here, and that I drop my eyeball down, and I see 65 to 74. There it is. So the group of people that are 65 to 74 years old have about 15 million people. Okay. Question 12. About how many people are 14 and under, or 75 and older? Well, let's look. First, 14 and under. Let's take a look. 14 and under. I trace it up. I say, oh, that's 60 million. 75 and older, I'd say it's about 10 million, let's say. And so, of course, 60 plus 10 is 70 million people. So about 70 million people total are fit into these two categories, okay? And the final question here, this would be something we'd discuss in class, but since we're not all together right now, we just have to kind of share our thinking individually. So where do you think a person that's 34 and a half, where would that person be included? And the way we think about this, you just have to, this is sort of one of those math reasoning questions. So let's think about it. If you're 34 and a half, are you technically 34? Are you technically 35? Well, the way we think about age, we think 34 and a half, you're still 34 until the day of your 35th birthday. So that's just kind of how we think about it. So that person who's 34 and a half would be included in this interval of 25 to 34, okay? And that would be this group right here that I've got my cursor. Okay. All right. That is all I'm going to do for this video. I'll be recording a third video here in just a moment. Please keep these questions coming. If you have any questions, you can ask them through the YouTube comment section, through our Google Classroom comment section. You can have your text me through Remind, or through, or you can give me a phone call. You can send me an email. You can leave a note on my front door in my mailbox. I will be happy to get back to you. Keep the questions coming. Keep working hard, guys, and I will see you shortly. Thanks for watching.